showtime!
I'm going to give you 5 reasons why you should consider pulling on Wander that have absolutely nothing to do with asking him to step on you. Why for Scaramouche of all characters? Goddamn, people. You're probably not one of these thirsty people in these comments, and maybe you're just on the fence about him and you're looking for some reasons to make you consider pulling for Scaramouche. First, there were those that skipped on Kazuha, the best climber and glider in the game, and might have come to regret it for that reason. Then there were those who skipped on Yelan, thinking she was just going to be an expensive Xingqiu clone who was worse, and then she ended up being the best long distance runner in the game, fantastic for the overworld. And now we have someone doing something completely unique, and that is flying. Well, okay, maybe more of like a speedy glide or float, but this can cover gaps between cliffs, go over small bodies of water that you would otherwise either have to swim through, which is gross, swimming sucks in this game, or you'd have to have Ayaka or Mona in your party, which is extremely limiting. Now we have another character that can do it, and faster than they can, and also be applicable to more scenarios. Got an annoying crystal fly spot where they all start to scatter up into the sky and Kazuha would just be too slow to get them all? Well, you have Scaramouche for that. Yeah, sure, you could teleport away and get them that way, chipping away at them slowly, but that's a pain in the ass. Starting with a good initial climbing height, he can do that, and he's going to be a little bit worse than Kazuha overall over long distance, but as a start, pretty damn good. If you're into things like elite farming and stuff, I mean, he's a DPS that is incredibly mobile, but also, you know, he's a DPS. He can kill the enemies for you. You don't have to switch off of him. Okay, I'm going to be honest. Some of these are going to be constellations that many of you aren't going to have, but if you do have it, it's nice that you finally have a character that can use the damn things. For starters, one of the biggest one is C4 Gene. Yes, sure, we have Xiao and we have Heizo, 2 units that can utilize C4 Gene. However, they don't exactly use the C2 the best. Yes, Heizo does attack, and he can attack, and he will probably do it pretty often, but it's not a major source of his damage, nor is the attack speed going to contribute nearly as much as it would to Wanderer. And honestly, if it wasn't for Farazan, she would probably be one of his best supports, but Farazan is competing almost directly for the role. Yeah, you can use both of them, and a lot of people might, and that's a choice. Yunjin, while her buff is extremely universal to anyone who actually uses a lot of normal attacks, sadly she ends up getting beaten out in a lot of scenarios just because some other supports are very, very strong. Or you just want reaction support instead. Which, you know, understandable, but Wanderer doesn't have that option. I mean, he does. You could swirl with him, but let's be realistic, that's not going to be a wise choice. Both Anemo and Geo struggle to increase their own personal damage in ways that elements like Cryo, Hydro, or Pyro have. And Yunjin is just going to be one of those ways to do that reliably, especially since Wanderer is primarily auto attacks. Not only that, but Wanderer and Yunjin both share an Ascension 4 passive that actually encourages some elemental diversity in the party, so there's also a little bit of synergy there as well. Yelan, for those of you who want a party that is not only highly mobile, but also highly effective, he actually has wonderful synergy with Yelan. It's not exactly the deepest synergy out there, but she offers raw damage percent, which even though Wanderer has quite a bit on his own, especially if you get his signature weapon, any damage percent is still welcome. Being an attack spammer means obviously he'll be triggering Yelan's burst about as frequently as you can. She also wants elemental diversity thanks to one of her Ascension passives, and obviously the overworld. You can run on the ground fast, you can fly through the air fast, it just sounds like a good time, and honestly, these two will never leave my overworld party. Obviously, Farazan will be an exceptional teammate for him because, well, she's basically tailor-made for him. Arguably Xiao almost as much, but Wanderer a little bit more so. Then due to the fact that you might be trying to get different elemental bonuses thanks to Wanderer's passive, you might be incentivized to use something like a Cryo Shielder such as Diona or Layla. You could use a Pyro Shielder such as Toma or Tank Faye if you want to try to get that attack bonus. Basically, because of the lack of reactions or just not caring, he may be able to use a lot of healers or shielders that other units may not use just because there are clearly better options. Typically, both Anemo and Geo DPS are extremely restricted in who they can put on their teams because a lot of things don't make sense, but Wanderer is kind of breaking that mold because of his Ascension passive and just because of the way his kit works. There's at least some level of justification you can use for putting almost any element of character other than maybe Geo in a team with Wanderer, although you could still even use Albedo, and that would work out pretty well just because of the raw damage that he can provide. Due to what is basically his signature artifact set and units like Farazan and Yelan potentially giving him a lot of damage percent, and even further beyond that, if you do go for a signature weapon, he can end up with a ton of damage percent bonus, similar to Xiao, which means he's going to really value attack percent because he needs it to help scale that damage percent further and not just get hammered by diminishing returns. Which, since many players are at the very least probably going to have Farazan since they're on a banner together right now, and they're probably going to also end up going for the artifact set, that means they're going to have a decent amount of damage percent bonus right away. Hopefully many players are going to have just a ton of good Shimenawa's pieces from the year that they rented out an apartment within the emblem domain. On top of that, you should probably also have a ton of good gladiator pieces from things like weekly bosses, the old abyss before they changed the artifacts, stuff like that. When you first saw Wanderer's kit, did you think, hey, he's going to be invincible? You might have, because many people did. I certainly saw it around. Vertical hitboxes in Genshin can be a little bit wonky, and it's going to take a little bit of time to figure out what he can actually dodge just by hovering slightly off the ground. You'll see a few playing in the background as I talk here, but I'm not going to show you everything because I'm not going to figure out everything right away. But aside from just passively dodging things, there is a defensive benefit to what Scaramouche is doing. Not only will certain ground effects, such as a Mirror Maiden's Prison for example, not do anything to him, but he's also going to get free dodges thanks to his Ascension passive, and dodges that aren't eating up an actual stamina bar or even his own when he gets his procs. You can spend some of his gauge to do extra dashes or to even ascend a little bit higher, which will allow you to dodge some new attacks. But the problem with that is you are losing some damage doing so, and even in some cases, you might become too high off the ground where you can no longer target the enemies, and that's kind of a problem. Okay, admittedly, this one's a bit of a stretch, and it's me just making a prediction. That prediction being that I think of all the normal attacking characters we currently have in the game, Wanderer is going to end up being the best of them by far. At least that's kind of like my hope. Why do I think that? Well, he doesn't have a burst infusion, which is fantastic. That means he's not only good in the overworld, but also good in just basically every situation. He's not going to get absolutely screwed over by energy from a boss that doesn't give much back. He's got a range attack, which does seem to have some pretty decent AoE on it, all things considered, and that means that he's not going to be screwed by moving around the battlefield really slow or worse, drained on energy like units like Sino or Razor do. I mean, not energy, but stamina. But actually in Sino's case, yeah, he does get drained on energy sometimes, and it does suck. I think his strongest competition in the auto attack pew pew category is going to be Ayato. And honestly, Ayato is a very respectable unit. He's strong. He can certainly do all the content we currently have, but he can be a little bit boring to some people. You do just kind of hold down a button, he just goes foosh, 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 and everything dies. And I personally find that fun, but I easily understand why some people wouldn't. It's very one-dimensional, and there's really not a lot to it other than just dodging attacks. Although if you build a ton of HP, sometimes you may not even care about that. There are many valid reasons why you may want Wanderer, why you may not want Wanderer. I understand why a lot of people may actually want him because he does look like a lot of fun, but there are characters they may love even more that are on the horizon, such as Alhaitham or Dia, who, well, people have grown attached to in the story at this point. They've seen them in the world actually doing things, and they can't wait to get them. And getting Scaramouche right now may jeopardize that, and that is perfectly understandable. If you're going for him, I wish you the best of luck. I hope he comes home quickly, or at least that you get enough Farazan copies in the time it takes you to get them that you don't mind. Thank you to my patrons and my YouTube members. They're lovely people. I love them for supporting the channel, and I love you guys just for watching the video. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
Attaboy!